What's up, world? This your man, MrSan44Man, seen in 80 plus countries around the world. Shouts out to this person, was one of our graffiti artists of the city of Detroit. I don't give a damn that you did that. Looks pretty decent, quite wide, and it's very noticeable. But at least he wasn't killing nobody. What's up, world? It's your man, MrSan44Man, seen in 80 plus countries around the world. Hey, today is another day, another one of them, oh my God, days. We got 3 bodies found in a house. Go figure on that one. You got these kids that had found the body in the house. It's just a whole mess and array. We got gay marriages thinking about adopting some kids. Well, the judge has got to make a decision on that, so not too much is going to get up on that. I'll let you check that story out. Also, South Korea and North Korea got issues, and North Korea talking about firing off a nuclear weapon in America's backyard. Dig that. So we're going to see what's up with all that today on MrSan44Man Detroit Raw Show.
South of Plymouth, 1 man and 2 women. Those women are related to each other. Police say there may have been children in the house when these bodies were discovered, but the children are okay. A friend of one of the victims tells me she was in the house with them and some other people last night until about 8:30. No sign of trouble, she says. But an hour or 2 later, shots were heard from that house. One of the victims is a 24-year-old man. I talked to one of his friends.
He wasn't in no type of trouble or nothing like that. He stayed to himself, but he was over here with a friend of ours and got murdered. It's a hard subject to even talk about right now.
How were these people discovered?
They were discovered by a family member. There was some noise, some shots heard mid-evening yesterday. And apparently, I think some family members were notified, and they came to check on them and discovered them.
And there was a delay between the time those shots were heard and the time the relatives came and discovered the bodies. We are trying to determine if anybody called police last night when those shots were heard in the neighborhood. Police are giving no motive. Right now, they're going to interview every neighbor, every friend they can, and figure out who it might have been who had a reason to kill these people. Reporting live in Detroit, I'm Roger.
National buzz. A local couple fighting Michigan's ban on same-sex marriage made their case this morning during a hearing on the campus of Wayne State University. Local 4's Sandra Ali was there and has the story.
It is definitely not the outcome supporters of gay marriage were hoping for. A federal judge says he will now delay his decision on the gay marriage ban.
It's kind of hard, but, you know, like I said, he's got to have all the facts and he needs to make the right decision, and we're confident that he will, and that, you know, again, our children will be ours.
April DeBoer and her partner of 10 years, Jane Rouse, walked out of federal court disappointed.
We ultimately do want what's best for our kids, and the second parent adoption, again, has always been what we're after.
After hearing their argument challenging Michigan's ban on same-sex marriage and the adoption code, Judge Bernard Friedman decided not to rule on their case until a Supreme Court hearing later this month. The Supreme Court will look at 2 unrelated cases dealing with gay marriage. A setback for Rouse and DeBoer. The Hazel Park couple have adopted children, but by law can't adopt each other's kids.
We're hopeful that after the United States Supreme Court comes down with its decision, you'll have more guidance, and that will prevail after that. I think they have a strong case. Michigan has the worst laws in the country, and this is a pervasively discriminatory policy in Michigan, and I think it's going to be overturned.
We feel very confident that when there finally is an opinion issued on this case, that we're going to prevail. The Michigan Marriage Amendment is going to be found unconstitutional, and we're going to have equal rights for gays and lesbians in this state at long last.
At one point this morning, Judge Friedman went on to say that he feels this is an important case, and at this point, he thinks it's definitely worth the wait. He also added, there's no telling what the Supreme Court
stop on Liver 9 for skipping out on his $16 lunch tab from the Buffalo Wild Wings there on 9 Mile. And police were going to let him off the hook, but instead, Stanfield yelled at the cops and then took off, nearly hitting them and sending police on a high-speed chase through a Detroit neighborhood. He was eventually arrested. They're not letting him off now.
Right now, 2 teens are recovering after being shot on Detroit's east side. The gunfire erupted while the teens were in a group on Banathouse Street. Now, the teens told police that they were unintended targets with no involvement in any sort of a fight. A private ambulance responded to the scene. The city has contracted ambulance companies to fill in when needed.
You are watching Local 4, home of ClickOnDetroit.com. WTIV Local 4 News at 5:30 starts now.
Continued to later, my eyes closed, and prayed.
Well, you can only imagine her fear. A teenager hides while crooks are just feet away after invading her home. And she says all she could do was try not to make a sound, hoping those bad guys didn't find her.
She spoke with our Lauren Podell about her terrifying ordeal and how she finally got help.
An 18-year-old girl woke up to the sound of shattering glass early this morning as she was alone in her home. But she wasn't alone for long after the bad guys hopped through the front window and she hid quietly in her bedroom.
Continued to later, my eyes closed, and prayed.
18-year-old Tori is lucky to be alive, but is still shaken up after having to hide in her own home.
All of the doors was open except for mine. And they went into every room except for mine.
At 4 a.m., Tori's mother was at work, but even with the porch light on and front door locked, that didn't stop a couple of guys from busting through the front window.
I heard, like, running up and down the steps, going into all the different rooms, throwing everything.
Trapped in her bedroom, men roaming through her house, Tori grabbed her phone, but with no cell phone service activated to make calls, she turned to the next best thing, social media, reaching out to her godmother, who tried calling police.
We need the police here. They not here. I called over 30 minutes ago. She was like, well, 3 other people called. I mean, ma'am, someone's coming out. Click.
Kenyatta showed up before DPD. The suspect's already gone. Over an hour later, she says, that's when police arrived.
A whole 2 hours it take the police to get here to serve and protect.
No one was caught. The house left ransacked.
They took 2 TVs, they ramshacked all the bedroom, emptied out some purses.
But Tori was left unharmed.
It was just a blessing they didn't go into her room. I don't know why they skipped it, but they didn't go into her room.
Reporting from Detroit's West Side, Lauren Podell.
Winchester, they're armed, they're dangerous, and they're posing as Detroit PD.
He says, get down, I'm the police. Don't move.
Coming up, victims are speaking out as Detroit police work to track down these police imposters. That story, new tonight.
They've struck again. The Local 4 defenders have uncovered more robberies involving crooks posing as police officers.
Very unnerving crime. Defender Hank Winchester spoke to the latest victims who were threatened with guns.
These guys are sitting and waiting for their victims to get home. In this particular case, they were parked here on the street, and then they made their move. They're armed, they're dangerous, and they're posing as police officers.
He turned, walked down the street, pulled out his gun with a laser sight, and told us to get down. He was the police.
Robin Johnson has lived in this Detroit neighborhood for more than 30 years. He thought he was safe.
I was thinking, couldn't run, comply, and hope we get out with our lives. And that's what I didn't think we were going to. He was menacing.
Early Wednesday morning, a group of guys parked on the Johnsons' block. They kept a close eye on Robin and his wife when they returned home from work and started walking towards their front door. Then it happened. A man with a gun, claiming he was a Detroit police officer, ordered the couple down to the ground.
He says, get down, I'm the police. Don't move.
But you knew right away it wasn't the cops.
I knew it. No, he wasn't the police.
The gunmen took their ID, credit cards, and some cash. And then the group of guys, they were on the move, robbing at least 2 more people within the next half an hour. They're thugs posing as police officers, ripping people off at gunpoint.
I started screaming for help. My wife started crying. We both thought we were dead.
We are being told police have stepped up patrols in this neighborhood and also alerted all the neighbors to what happened. They are hoping that somebody will be able to help them track these guys down. I'm Hank Winchester, back to you.
A Lansing judge has ruled on a case involving medical marijuana. A hospital employee in Lansing, whose job included performing CT scans and starting IVs, was fired for failing a drug test. She told her employer she used medical marijuana to treat lupus and neuropathy. The state denied the woman unemployment benefits because she failed the drug test, but an Ingham County judge says she should be allowed to receive those benefits.
Doesn't that sound good? But we knew it was a long shot, a very long shot. But the famed Olympic music will not be piped throughout Detroit in 2024.
Mayor Bing has quite a few other things on his plate right now, of course, and today announced that Detroit will not be in the bidding to host the Summer Olympics for 2024. Released a statement that reads in part, the bid calls for a $10 million upfront bid process payment and adding more than a $3 billion operating budget commitment. Unfortunately, due to the timing and uncertainty of Detroit's long-term financial stability, we must respectfully decline.
A local judge is facing some tough accusations that he has misbehaved on the bench. Today, a judicial tenure commission issued a complaint against that judge. 7 Action News investigative reporter Bill Proctor broke that story and joins us now with the latest. Okay, Bill, what's he accused of?
Well, apparently this 21-page complaint officially starts the Judicial Tenure Commission action against Wayne County Circuit Court Judge Bruce Morrow. It cites 10 cases over the years where Morrow allegedly ignored the rules of procedure and law. Included in the complaint, one horrific murder case stands out.
Well, it certainly is nothing that I had ever experienced.
After the first-degree murder conviction of Jean-Pierre Orlowitz for the 2007 murder of Daniel Sorensen, Judge Morrow was set to hear arguments for a new trial. But not only did he close the courtroom to the media and the public, he also locked out the parents of the murder victim.
Barring the victim's family from attending a proceeding like that would be the same as telling the defendant he can't be there.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Jeffrey Kaminsky remembers it as one of the more bizarre appeals cases of his 3-decade-long career, as the judge not only denied access required under the Constitution, but failed to create a record of the proceeding. So both the defense and the prosecution had to go to court to fight for transcripts that should be routinely provided to both sides.
We had to file a complaint in the Court of Appeals because it's the failure to perform a clear legal duty in order to force him to allow the court reporter to do what the court reporters do, and that is prepare a transcript.
The JTC cites similar misconduct in 9 other felony cases, saying, quote, Respondent Judge Morrow has engaged in conduct that demonstrates a lack of impartiality, failure to follow the law, and abuse of judicial power and violations of the Michigan Code of Judicial Conduct. Now, Judge Morrow has 14 days to file an answer to the JTC complaint. His attorney told us this afternoon that the judge is very disappointed, but believes the evidence will show that Morrow is, quote, a great judge, unquote, and he has served the public well. He also points out that this is just a handful of cases out of the tens of thousands the judge has handled since 1993, and that these issues should be raised in an appeals court and not by the Judicial Tenure Commission. Live in the newsroom, Bill Proctor, 7 Action News.
Years, when attorneys and judges have needed a lawyer, they have chosen the courtroom warriors at Hatchett, DeWalt, and Hatchett.
When it comes to criminal defense, in addition to civil cases, we have successfully handled cases in 23 states in both state and federal courtrooms. When your freedom hangs in the balance and you really need to win, we give you the best chance of doing just that, winning.
Call Hatchett, DeWalt, and Hatchett at 248-334-1587.
We can help.
Ashley, thank you. More breaking news this morning out of North Korea. North Korea is vowing a preemptive nuclear strike against the United States.
And this comes just hours ahead of a vote by the UN diplomats on whether to level new sanctions against North Korea for its recent nuclear testing. Now, sources say the North will exercise its right for what they call, quote, preemptive nuclear strikes on the headquarters of the aggressors. That would be us, because Washington is pushing to start a nuclear war against the North, according to Pyongyang. And we'll continue to follow this story and this very inflammatory rhetoric ahead in the day.
Korea has accused the United States of wanting to start a nuclear war, and it's threatened to carry out a preemptive strike on the US. The atmosphere on the Korean peninsula is more tense than usual. Both North and South Korea have been holding fresh military drills, and Pyongyang says it's ready to tear up the 60-year-old armistice between the two nations. The ramped-up rhetoric comes ahead of a UN vote on new sanctions in response to North Korea's nuclear program. Well, Lucy Williamson is our correspondent in the South Korean capital, Seoul. I asked her about North Korea's latest nuclear test.
Very difficult to tell exactly what North Korea carried out underground there, whether it was a uranium test, a plutonium test, whether it really did succeed in militarizing the weapon or not, whether indeed it was a nuclear test. There's no incontrovertible evidence that it actually was a nuclear test, so we know very little. But nuclear experts say it often takes almost always takes many tests to perfect that kind of miniaturization that would be necessary to put the nuclear weapon onto a warhead. And North Korea simply has not carried out enough tests to be able to do that effectively. We saw that North Korea was able to launch a satellite, but we haven't seen that it's been able to launch an intercontinental ballistic missile. Yes, the two are very similar, but with one you have to be able to get it up and down again intact and be able to hit a target. There's no evidence yet that North Korea is able to do that.
Lucy Williamson there in Seoul.
Now, after what you've seen on them stories, this is what I have to deal with every day. That's why I run those news stories, so you can see the clips and decide for yourself, is Detroit really as bad as I'm seeing it? Because I'm going to tell you, I live here. I know what's up. But sometimes I don't even know what's up. And that's a damn shame when you live somewhere and it's almost like your house. You know, my thing is like this, as far as that fighting with North Korea, I'm already fighting here in my own goddamn backyard. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know when a motherfucker gonna tell you, I'ma slap the shit out of your grandmama so hard that it's gonna slap her dentures out of her mouth and her glasses off her face. Then somebody just actually slapping the shit out of your grandmama and slapping her dentures out of her mouth and knocking her glasses off her face. There's a difference between when you need to fight and when you need to say, nigga, you just talking shit. But, you know, folks don't even play that shit, so I don't know. They just killing up for anybody. Anything, I should say. It's your man, MrSan44Man, about to go pick my son up. He's working hard these days, doing what he's supposed to do. Jail will make your ass turn a new leaf, that's for real. So I'm about to go out here and pick him up. Been working past 12 hours every day, doing what he got to do, and I'm proud of him. This is a proud father looking at his proud son doing something productive, so he don't have to come out being low down like my city is. It's your man, MrSan44Man, seen in 80+ countries around the world, letting you know, let's not be a part of this, y'all. We don't want to be low down. Peace. What's up, world? It's your man, MrSan44Man. Hey, what'd you think about that? It's sad, ain't it? It's sort of like this. This is how my city is. Low down, straight up and down. It's a sad situation, and I never can come to you other than, you know what I'm saying, with such hard stories and news that's footage that just shows how bad this city is. But you know what I'm saying, I keeps it real and I keeps it raw right here. And that's why y'all tune in to see how tough and how rough this city is. We broke. We the first city in America that's going out like this, and people are going crazy. They raiding your house. They acting like fake cops out here. It's just a mess. Everybody is lost. Everybody is lost. But hey, I'm going to keep you tuned in so you don't be lost and out of the loop. It's your man, MrSan44Man, seen in 80+ countries around the world. I'll get back with y'all with more hardcore Detroit Raw stories tomorrow. Peace.